Hello, how's everybody doing? Brandon Media Strategy, session 14 out of 16. We are heading into the home stretch. Hope everybody's doing great today. Let's go over some things. It'll be pretty easy, pretty simple day. Moving on, doing some good things. Of course, as always, we do our attendance. Let's check that first question on attendance. What is kerning adjustment? Space between the lines? Maybe? No. Image resolution? No. The space between specific characters? Color correction. Well, it's either this or this. Well, it is the space between specific characters. The space between lines is leading. So think of lines and leading, kerning characters. KKLL. I just thought of that right now. I'm going to keep that in my pocketbook for graphic designers. Like, how do you remember that? Leading is lines. Kerning is character, even though it's spelled wrong. What do they call that? Alliteration. So make sure you do that. Mid-session project review. I check them daily, except for Sundays. Yeah, use them. Getting down, nitty gritty. Just a couple more weeks, and then you move on. So let us start with exploring brands. Final, this is just like last week. So we'll download it. It is an InDesign file. As always, I love my InDesign files. We're going to open that up. I'm going to put it on the correct screen. Then we're going to fit the page. Oh. I don't know, bleed set up on this. Why is there no bleed? And why is that acting like it's a selection tool? Oh, I have to update this. I'm going to put in the new one. It's supposed to have bleed on it, so it's not updating. I will fix that, of course. But like always, your pieces should fit right into this. All you need to worry about is doing the title and then adding your layers. And I have my Birdwell one, which is the only one I did. But I'm going to place, and so you can place that PDF. So file, place, and I'm placing the high-res PDF, and it's C. I'm going to hit open, boom, and it should fit right in place unless I did something really wrong. But it does fit in place. And when I zoom in, we're checking these crop marks just in this corner. And the one crop mark is behind it and the one is up here. So we're all good. So then what that means is that I can then just take these down to the line, just on those two sides. And then it has the margin, the bleed already built in. So that's what you need to do. Just pop in A, B, C, and D. You have them built. Use the ones with the crop marks in it so you can use the bleed. When you overlap, I talked about that last time. If you overlap some, you don't even have to make them disappear. So then there's always content. You won't have a little white line. You won't have anything like that. So it's like kind of the fun way to work. Add in your title and you're all set. And actually, while I'm here, let's do this. And then if I go to document setup, margin, it's not showing up. Normal. Interesting. File. Okay. That is so weird. Oh, wait, what am I talking about? Oh, bleed, not margin. When did somebody stop me? Document setup. Can I add bleed now? Adjust layout. Bleed, there we go. Hit OK. There we are. File, save, and I'm going to update that file immediately. So just give me a minute to get that up after I'm done talking, because it is a link, or I can just go right to it, to the folder. Oh, let's see if I can do it. Here. I want you guys to be able to knock this out right after the lecture. Not even worry about it, just have it done. This should be class supplements. And this is brand. And then I just pull this one over. And then I replace, upload. All right, now it's got bleed on it. All right, perfect. So that's what you do for that one. Just add in your pieces, add a beautiful title, be proud of the semester's worth of work, look at your progression from A to B to C to D. Notice if you've been growing, if you've been changing, and you've been doing good stuff. Every designer needs to know. There's 14 and 15, so you have 2 more left. I thought I'd knock this one out and then talk about some stuff here. All right, so I'm doing it. It is new file. It is 7, tab 5, tab ½ inch, bleed 0.25, reset them all, create. Then we do a margin layer. And again, get into the habit. Good habits. It's a little bit too smart habits for jobs. All this stuff that they don't have to train you on, they'll be so much happier to have you on their team. And then this is all pertains to when you get something printed. I did a little print job for my kids. Oh, so it's old school. And whenever I work with the people, the very nice people, I kind of tell them, like, this file is for, this file is only for previews. When you approve it, I will send you a different one. But even though they all and so I do that. I do the client and I do the press one. And so I do, in fact, in real life, have 2 different versions, because I don't want the client to be confused and see stuff they don't need to see. And you're like, what does that mean? Like, they sometimes they'll be like, that stuff on the outside, what are those little tick marks going to show? It's like the meat and potatoes, and not having to, the client doesn't need to see what happens underneath. We just want to see the top. You have a certain areas. And so I do it every time I do a design. And they're all built like this. Even for me. I'm like, oh, I know I'm going to pull bleed. I just put it on there. Then it's on there. Then the press people can't say anything. Well, you didn't have bleed. Mom will be like, it's on there. I'm like, okay, I'm going to make sure it's on there. So we do all that kind of stuff. So let's do typography. And I briefly read ahead on this one when working. No. There's some crazy ones in this, but if a skill is practiced so much that it becomes automatic, then it can be performed with a minimum of conscious attention. Graphic design is the same way. It's just not like they talk about music and the Suzuki method and blah, blah. That's why we give you assignments. Practice. Which is, I need to put this over here. Paste. Split out. Delete. How did my copy not work? It said Pixel 4 watch because I wanted to know if you can make phone calls on a watch yet. Apparently you can. I kind of hate having a phone. I thought, could I ever just have a watch and not have to ever carry a phone? What do I have a phone for? It's my own personal issue. All right. So in the background, I'm gonna do similar to what I did for the Bauhaus design. If somebody's in that class, practice. Now let's pick font. And the other thing I did is I got rid of thousands of fonts finally. And you know me. Oh, there's an oldie but a baddie. Oldie but a goodie. Practice. So I'm going to make that big. I'm going to object type create outlines. And then I'm going to start to duplicate it. And I'm going to offset it. Oh, let's just offset it perfectly by 1. Let's zoom in so my shaky hand can actually do it. You know, if you zoom in, sometimes it'll make that easier. Now I have to do, if I'm going to see if I can do this in one fell swoop here. Because you want to be able to duplicate it. So if I do this and hit Alt, let go. Now if I hit duplicate, and I always, when doing stuff like this, I do it super far, right? Way more than you need to do. The reason is, you just have like, if I'm going to run a pattern, I need it passed up and down, left and right. And then it also allows me to make adjustments. So I'm going to group this. And it allows me to make adjustments to scale it. So I'm not just like setting myself up to like, oh, this is the final size. Wow. Now, because of that interference, I'm having some computers acting funky. Just a little offset from there. Now I can go duplicate, duplicate, duplicate. All right, so now I have a billion of those, which I didn't need that many, but it gives me room to set things up and then like, oh, I want my fill. And I'm going to go to here and just drop it. And then I have this, which I should do an opposite. Like I'm going to do I'm going to do a serif font. I don't always go, I don't know if you guys ever do this stuff, but like filters, and you can kind of like click and then it'll only show you. The only problem I have with using the filters, it speeds up this process. But then if you don't change it back, you're like, where are all my fonts? Like, how come nothing's around? And it's because you clicked on the filter and didn't turn the filter off. That's the one thing I don't, and why I don't use it that much. And now I got to figure out where I want breaks. And let's remove some of this. Now I think I want it in 4s. So I'm looking like much that would be a good spot. And then I'm looking here, and it's pretty good. I get if I did the that's better. I can't get away from that spot right here, but I made that better. And then it's with minimum. So a lot of times when I talk to you and I comment on, like how you have stuff set up, I read it as if I'm a new reader to it. And then I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, is this practice much should that word be here or here at a line break? And I'm gonna get it 1, 2, 3, 4. I kind of like those giant ones, and I'm gonna get it centered on those practices. And I'm just above the center point. So here's my center point. And my center point is just above it, which leaves about just a smidge below unused. Now, I did that, but I want my practice more centered. So I'm looking at where does this end? Where does this end? So I'm going to select all. And I'm just going to use my arrow key. And now, see how I have a gap? Little gap at the top. I have the perfect gap at the bottom. That was crazy amazing. And then where should I pick? I think it's good. And it's just having some fun. Right? 2 typefaces. All right. 1 color. I'm really into that, using you don't need color. If I wanted to emphasize this practice, but its practice is emphasized back there. So then we go to file, save it, and everything. So you know what to do there. Let's close that out. I think talked about this. Cool. I knew that was going to happen. All right, let's close that. So every designer, an hour or so. It's a practice and trying stuff. It's practice. The more we use it, the more we're stepping around these things, the easier it becomes. That's why I give these little assignments in there. You should always be designing. And I know a lot of us I'm just going to wait till the last minute and knock it all out. But if you practice every day over practicing one day, the everyday person is going to eventually get better because it retains in their memory better. All factual. So, man, I think that's it. I'll go over Thursday's assignment. We just have the final book reading Thursday. And then your product promotional sales. As I talked last week, for anybody who's working on it still, it does say, and I mentioned it several times, and imagery. Make sure you're grabbing the imagery to bring it to life. Think soap, think bubbles, think fun, clean. Don't think gig poster and the body copy is body copy on the poster. It doesn't have to be the biggest thing on the poster. You got to think about that hierarchy. What should be the biggest thing on the poster? Probably your logo almost. The logo should be big, front and center. And then I should see pictures of people, and then the body copy. Think about that hierarchy. Not everything needs to be equal. Across the room, when I walk in the Walgreens and I see the poster, I kind of want to see the celebration part first. And then as I walk closer, I'm I'm bored, waiting in line, read the poster, get a little bit more information about it. Know there's a QR code, maybe, get some, and then see people, fresh people cleaning. It should be an event. When I see that. So make sure you're doing that. If you need to, at the last minute, look up posters for, I don't know, kind of just get some inspiration if it's not hitting you, you know? Got some colors in there, some ideas. Look for ideas. Look at that. Ah, that's hilarious. How weird is that? I mean, it's a good illustration. I don't love it. It's good, but it's so weird. Where is she looking? It's like past us. But yeah, so make sure you do that. I will talk more about the project on Thursday when we move on to the next part where we're going to add in our additional pieces once we have completed the poster and the flyer. You know the routine. We've been doing it for a while. Is there any questions, comments, or concerns? All right. You know how to reach me. You know how to get a hold of me. Have some fun with that. Make it clean, clear, natural feeling. Make people want to look at it. I don't need to be, again, I don't need to be able to read the body copy from across the room. It is there just to add in some extra information. All right. Take care. Thank you very much. And I look forward to seeing the progress in the morning. All right. Bye-bye.